Hi, good afternoon or good morning, everyone, and thanks for attending this webinar on the power of visual scheduling in Business Central. What we're focused on today is going to be the graphical scheduler, and that's this guy here. And really what the graphical scheduler is, it's a Gantt chart, right? In its most basic form, when we're talking about production scheduling, it's a Gantt chart that allows you to drag and drop production orders around and do things like that. But it can also be used with any Business Central data. So that's custom tables, base tables within Business Central that there's maybe no other way to visualize, those sorts of things. You can enable that on pretty much anything you like. Okay, so jobs or tasks or custom tables, as I mentioned, any of those sorts of things. So really, and it has calendar views and Gantt views. It's not just a Gantt chart here. You can also do a calendar view for like to-dos and things like that. Now, this is the tool you can use to visualize that schedule and to do dragging and dropping. But there's a whole bunch of stuff around this when we're talking about production scheduling, right? So the other tools that are available within Business Central from us, the Enhanced Planning Pack. So this is where you start your planning, right? So it's the Enhanced Planning Worksheet, some forecasting capabilities, some inventory management capabilities, and that drives our plan, which we then schedule. And we can use MXAPS to schedule it. And MXAPS has, automated scheduling rules in it to sort of, put it at a high level. And what it'll allow you to do is instead of having to drag and drop and everything, it'll generate that schedule for you automatically, and it'll optimize it for you for your environment. And then after we've done the scheduling, whether you use one or both of these tools, we go out to the fulfillment worksheet to figure out what we can ship today and send it out. And if we need to do any shop floor execution, this should have actually been over here after graphical schedule. Once we've scheduled it, we start executing on that schedule that we've done, right? So shop floor insight, you can record your actuals, you can record your output, you can record all that, get quality information out on the shop floor, everything you need to execute the production on the shop floor, you can use shop floor insight for. And that, of course, feeds that information back into the scheduling side so that we can always get the most up-to-date information for scheduling. Now, all of these are independent applications. You don't have to get shop floor insight if you get MXAPS or vice versa. You can use them completely independently and you're good. Again, graphical scheduler here, that's the free tool. All of these other guys are subscription products. All right, so a little bit more on graphical scheduler. Basically said all this stuff already, but it is a free app for Business Central SaaS. So you have to be on the cloud version to get it by default. But if you are on premises and you do have one of our other products, if you have a subscription for one of our other products, we'll provide that graphical scheduler in those situations as well. And the graphical scheduler does actually come with some of our other products as well. So shop floor insight, quality inspector, things like that will include the graphical scheduler as well. And of course, again, it lets you drag and drop and visualize data and everything else. And I mentioned the calendar style views. So again, if you want to have like an Outlook calendar style view within Business Central, you can use a graphical scheduler for that. And the nice thing about it is it's completely open. It's free, you grab it and away you go, but it is completely open. We publish all the events that you can use to extend it. We've got graphical scheduler examples on our external repository that you can use for getting the source code and seeing how to do things. So you can take it and build whatever tool you want out of this graphical scheduler. You don't need our permission or anything else. We've published all that and you can go to town. All right, so that's a graphical scheduler. The other one I mentioned was the MXAPS. An MXAPS is an advanced finite capacity scheduler. So what that means is I go in, I hit a button in Business Central, and it schedules everything for me. I don't have to drag and drop. I don't have to look at where I might have conflicts on the Gantt chart or anything like that. It's going to take that and do it for me automatically. All right, so the bottom bullet here is the key. It takes that scheduling process and turns it into repeatable and systemized process. So I hit the button, I've got my schedule, it goes out to the shop floor, and it gets worked on. I don't have to sit there in front of a Gantt chart and drag and drop and do all sorts of fun stuff. Okay, so that's the MXAPS. So let's have a look at what these things look like. I'm going to show you a little bit about both, but we're going to focus on the graphical scheduler here, how you can use it, how you can configure it, and make it work in your particular environment. So let's jump in here. I'm going to start with this view here within Business Central. So if you install the graphical schedule, you'll get something called the default view. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to show you all your production orders, right? So these are my work centers and my machine centers down here. And from here, I can basically scroll through, see my schedule. I've gone in, I've changed colors. This one happens to be late, so I've turned it red. That order happens to be late. So I've made it red, and we do have the ability to track whether it's late or on time. The graphical scheduler can handle that for you. But I can come in here on any one of these, click on one of these production orders. It highlights all the other production orders with that highlight color and draws the little arrows between them. Well, by the way, in here, I'll show you in the views, but the information that's in the block here and the information that's in that sort of hover window, that's all yours to configure. The colors that I just mentioned, those are yours to configure. But this is the basic view that you get. Production orders. I can click on a production order. I can see all the related, operations and everything else, and then I can drag and drop. I can say, you know what? I want to take this guy and I'm going to move him down to the packing machine right here instead, and it's going to reschedule that. Now, what it does for rescheduling is it's just using the built-in Business Central scheduling. So it goes in and it says, okay, I modified the routing line to use this work center or machine center and this date, and it reschedules that one production order. So it's not going to reschedule any of the other production orders around it. This is the same thing as if I went into Business Central, into that routing, changed the machine center or work center, and changed the start date, and that's how it reschedules. But it does reschedule that particular production order. If I moved this over into the future, into the past, it would have rescheduled all those operations around it as well. Okay, so that's the basic view. Pretty simple. I go in there and I can click on things, I can drag them around, I can do all that kind of stuff, and there's my plan. So if you need basic production scheduling, this is the way to go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, jump into another view, because this is a nice view here, right? Like, I mean, you look at this and you're like, oh, that looks great. I can see all my production orders and everything else. Well, what if I have 500 production orders on the screen at a time, right? How do we deal with that? What other information can I get from here? Well, let me cover that off real quick. So up at the top here on this particular production order, I can just hit details and that'll load up the production order, and I can drill in and look at the routing and everything else in here. Or I can go into the related tab and I can get pretty much anything I need related to manufacturing from here. So the work center load, the one that I've got selected here, this Linda Mitchell, which is the old Cronus demo data. I can look at all the details there. I can also actually go in and create downtime from here. So I can create machine absences to log downtime and all those sorts of things. So I can actually come in here and look at all the details right from the graphical scheduler. Okay. Now, if I wanted to show more on the graphical scheduler though, I'm going to jump into another view here and let's see what that looks like. So what I have here, I've got a lot more production orders scheduled on this, and it's the same concept though. Like I can, see all the production orders and everything in here. I can drag and drop, all that kind of stuff. But you'll notice I've got some additional detail up here that gives me my work center loading. And I'll show you how I did that. But what this means is I can plot multiple pieces of information on that chart at the same time. So here I've got, machine center or work center loading, but I could have just as easily put, warehouse picks on here, or purchase receipts, or sales orders, or whatever I like. I can plot all of that information on the same chart along with my production data. And you'll notice here, I'm zoomed into a specific day. To change the zoom level and everything else, you come in here, dates and zoom, and I can, this is sort of my default range of information displayed on the graphical scheduler between these two dates. And if you are using the graphical scheduler, having a nice big monitor is nice. I've got a reasonably small one here to do for the webinar, and a nice wide monitor so you can put a lot of information there. And then I can drill down and I can show it at the weekly level, at the daily level, and here's my calendar views. So I can go in and show it as a calendar. That's not really applicable for production activities, but it very well might be for, planning your picks or your quality inspector assignments or those sorts of things, or, to-dos or whatever for employees. That calendar view is kind of nice. Looks just like Outlook. But here I can actually come in and change my zoom level or just use the buttons here, or zoom to the specific document, which means that whatever production order I have selected or whatever I have selected in this view, it'll just zoom that date range to incorporate or to show me everything related to that document. I'll just change this to day or week. And now we can see I've got all of this information here. Here's all my production orders listed at more the daily level, and I've got this, work center, machine center loading. So what I've done on here is I've also changed the colors. I've said, between whatever it was, 30 and 50%, it's blue, and if it's below that, it's orange, and if it's above that, it's red. But those are things that I set up. So this is a nice little way to see, oh, do I have, capacity issues at specific work centers? And from here, again, I can click on that, I can hit details, and it knows what I'm dealing with, and it will drill down to whatever's related to the block I have selected. Now, let me show you one other thing here on this loading specifically. If I go into view, one last thing before I get into views. I can also set some filters. If I want to filter down to a specific production order or to specific work centers that are overloaded or something like that, I can do that here. So I can come in, add a filter for, anything on that production order, like the production order number or any of those sorts of things, and log it here. And once I've created that, the zoom level and the filters and everything else, I can hit save as, and that'll save this as a view. So if you tailor this to look exactly the way you want, you can just save that. But the views is a little bit of where the magic happens. The view defines what I actually see on this chart. Okay, so if we open that up, you'll notice I've got a whole bunch here. And the default view is the one that we're looking at now. But I'm just going to go in for fun and show you the work center loading view. This is one I created myself, and it looks exactly like the default one, except what I did with the loading view is I don't plot the production orders. So now what I've got is I've got a load chart, right? This tells me very quickly, without seeing, any of the production orders or anything like that on there, what my loading is over a period of time, right? And again, I can click on this and hit details and see exactly, what the issues are with that particular work center. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. You think, oh, it's just production orders, but no, I can do things like, a nice visual report on work center loading down to the machine center level as well. And I can do it just at the work center level and not even incorporate any of the machine centers if I like. Now, the way we set that up, I'm going to go into my default view here, and I'm going to open it up, and we're going to have a look at what it has in it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, there's things you can set, how high you want those blocks, how you want the filters, and how you want it sorted, all those sorts of things. Usually the defaults are fine. Down here, you can set how you want the dates to show up. So normally I've set it up for specific because I know where I have data in here for a demo, but normally you'd have it as relative. So when I open it up, it's going to come in and start, 1 week, whatever you set here, 1 week before today's date, or maybe you want to just start it at today's date or something like that and plot forward. And you can always navigate backwards in time on the scheduler as well. So you set up kind of where you want it to start with, when you first load it up, and that's the dates in Zoom. And then down here is actually where you define what we're showing on that chart. So in my case, I have the release production orders, right? And I've got all the settings here, like my tooltip template. If I wanted to come in and say, I'm showing the production order number, the operation number, the description, all those sorts of things. If I wanted to add something else in, I can simply come in here, choose another field I want to add in to that tooltip, and there we go. I've added that in, and I'm good, right? So there's all sorts of things you can do here for customizing that. I actually probably want to get rid of that because it'll confuse me next time I come in here and wonder why it says minutes or something in the tooltip. You can come in here and you can customize all of this stuff very easily. Okay, and there's my work center loading that brings in, the work center loading. And here's the color rules that I have set up. So I say, hey, when we're dealing with, the work center loading, if the load is, I'll bring this up, this filter window. If the load is 25 to 95, I'm going to turn it, blue and gray. And then down here, if it's greater than 95%, I'm going to turn it red. And if it's less than 25%, I'm going to turn it orange. So you can set up all your color rules here. And I could have rules that apply to, the production orders as well. Okay, so I could turn it red, like you saw in the other view, if it's late. Or if it's in progress, I could make it a different color, or finished, I could make it a different color. So you've got all that ability to set these up. Now, earlier on, I said, well, this is still related to production orders, the work center loading the production order stuff. But what if I want to add additional information on? Well, for that, you click this Add Data Source. And by doing that, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's sort of there by default, right? Like shop calendar holidays, if you wanted to plot your downtime on that graphical scheduler as well, you could do that. There's the work center load. We've got some default assembly order configurations, and some of these others I'll get to in a minute. The warehouse picks, all of these sorts of things you can set up, like job planning lines, all this kind of stuff. You can go in there and add that to the chart. Now, one of the cool things on this is the ability to add anything you want to that chart. So when it says custom table, that doesn't mean your own custom tables necessarily. That means any data within Business Central I can put on that chart. So let me show you how that might work. I'm going to come in here, and by default, we have a view for job planning lines, right? So if I open this up, it's going to bring up all my job planning lines for a specific time frame. I probably don't have any within that time frame, but it'll bring up all my job planning lines and everything else. And this is how you can go and sort of scroll through your dates and everything and look at different time periods and all that. So there's all my job planning lines, and I can actually drag and drop these, right? So I can come in and move these things around, and it'll adjust the job planning lines right from here. But if I want to do job tasks, I can do that as well. And I do actually have a view where I've got job tasks defined, but I'm going to create a new one just to show you how you can set up a view to show additional information. So I hit new, and we'll call it job task 2 for fun, and job tasks, and I'm going to leave all the other defaults. Now, when we first create a new view, it defaults in production, so I want to get rid of that because we don't want to show our production orders on at the same time. We're going to add a new data source, and we're going to go in, and we're not going to use the job planning lines. We're going to use any table because we're going to use job tasks. And now I come in here and I enter, we can do the search to find job task, and now I simply set up all my fields, right? So the job number, I can set the task number, I can set up a template here. It automatically figured out there's a start date and an end date on the job task line, and brought that in, so I don't have to do that. And then I'm going to tell it this, where is it? That's what's showing up on the left side of the chart. And I can do it by job posting group, but I don't want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it by job number. So I'm going to have my job numbers on the left, and I'm going to show my job tasks in the view. So the capacity type here is going to be, sorry, that's not the capacity type. I'm going to show that in the capacity number. And now I can make it readable or writable to show, to allow me to drag and drop. The problem with this, with the job tasks, is these are flow fields. So I can't actually drag and drop the job tasks by default. If you wanted to do that, what you'd have to do is create your own start date and end date on the job tasks that is writable. And if you do that, it will automatically allow you to drag and drop those job tasks without doing anything special at all. Okay, so that's basically it. That's how I can set it up. And then I can come in, it's defined, sort of these templates for me automatically, but I can come in and set up color rules, do all of those same sorts of things you saw before, and then I can go in and plot this on the chart. And this is the one I did exactly the same thing earlier on this job task. If I wanted to just take this and reconfigure it, I can go in, hit configure, and I can change all that. This one I've set up a better template and those sorts of things, but it's basically exactly the same thing as what I just set up. And when we open that up, what it will do, of course, is show you what you'd expect. I'll have all my jobs over here, my job tasks, and again, I'd be able to drag and drop these if I had start dates and end dates that are writable. Okay, so that's how we can set up new views. And if you look at this, I've got a whole bunch set up here. I'm going to show you a couple in a sec, but I've got assembly orders, I've got the jobs, I've got the loading, I've got some stuff for warehouse picks, and I've got some stuff for quality assignments. I've also got some stuff for the planning worksheet. What that means is right from the planning worksheet, I can go in, and this is the standard Business Central planning worksheet, and on that there'll be a button to show the graphical scheduler, and it'll show you the graphical scheduler for all your planning lines. Okay, so right when you're doing your production planning, you can go in there and see what that plan is going to do, how it's going to impact the loading on your facility using the graphical scheduler. And again, what it's doing here is it's just doing the planning routing. So it's using the planning routing, but I could plot my production orders on here as well. So I could have my release production orders plotted and my firm plan production orders plotted with my planned production orders to see what the impact is going to be. So again, that's right from the planning worksheet, or right from here, I can open this up and it's going to plot any of the planned production orders from my planning worksheet right there without me creating the production orders first. Okay. Now let me show you a couple that we've done sort of as part of our other products, where we've taken the control, the graphical scheduler, and we've put it on a new page. So I could have gone in there and looked at, you know, the warehouse picks and the quality inspector assignments and all that. We've actually created a couple of custom pages to deal with that, to make them, you know, a lot more tailored to that task. So if I go in, I'm going to start with the pick assignments first, and you can get to this screen from the warehouse picks list. And the reason it's in a separate page is because we've got a bunch of other goodies here. But this shows me all of the picks that I have in the system, and I can drag and drop those to assign those to specific individuals and indicate where I want that pick to occur. So it's actually going to go in there and now schedule that pick to occur there and assign it to me. And the time frame it estimates for that pick is done through this pick estimates. So I say a pick is at least 10 minutes, and every item that we pick is going to take 1 minute. But the cool thing about this is it's got this create recommendations, where if you've installed Graphical Scheduler and you've registered a bunch of picks, it'll zip through those and figure out how long it actually takes you to pick stuff. And it'll set that timing here. And by the way, per user as well, per employee, if you want. And it'll come in and give you an estimate of how long each pick takes. And then you can see this on the Gantt chart. You can see how long each pick is going to take and who's supposed to do it. And again, in here, if you don't want to see who it's assigned to, I can just go into the view and change that. And maybe I want to see the pick number over here, or you know, the zone or something like that for that pick instead. Right? So it's very customizable in that regard. Okay, so that's sort of the custom view we have for pick assignments, but I could have actually opened up just the chart itself right in the graphical schedule. And same thing on this, just like everything else, where I come in, if I hit details, it's smart enough to know that, hey, the thing I clicked on was a pick, so I'll show you the pick when I hit details. So if I configured something here that's a custom table that has custom pages and I clicked on it and hit details, it would show you your custom page. It's smart enough to do that. The other one I'll briefly talk about is the pick assignments. So under pick assignments, or sorry, that's what I just talked about, quality inspection assignments. So if you're using our quality inspector tool, it has the ability to assign quality inspections to individual people in the system. And this is exactly the same, just to illustrate that we can go to any table within the system you like. And now these are all my quality inspections that I've got in the system. And I've you know, changed the color, so the ones here sort of in this light blue are any that are to be done in receiving. The rest of these are to be done in production. And so this is a very easy way to, first of all, again, see what inspections are outstanding. I could change colors to ones that are in progress or retests or whatever, and then also assign them to individual employees. Like if I want this test done by, you know, this guy, I can go in there and assign it, and it's yelling at me for some reason, but I can go in and assign that inspection, and away I go. So this page here will show up if you have our quality inspector product installed. Okay, so those are the views. Now I'm going to go back into, you know, sort of the default view, which is what opens up when we first started, and talk a little bit about how we would actually schedule this. So if you look at this, we can see, you know, I've got this overloaded work center here. That's not ideal. You know, we've got too much scheduled on Friday afternoon here. What am I going to do about it? Well, you know, first of all, I probably zoom into to the day so I can see the hour and day instead of the week and the day. But I can come in here and I can drag and drop this. I can say, you know what, I'm not going to run it on this work center. I'm going to move it over to this machine. And I can sit here and drag and drop these things around and set up the schedule so that it works, so that I'm no longer overloaded. And if you don't have a lot of production orders, that's a valid approach, right? I can come in here, see my production orders, just move things where it looks a little overloaded, and graphically move things around. And again, typically on this type of thing, I'd be more in at the hour level, so I can, see more clearly exactly, when they're scheduled. They're all scheduled at 10 o'clock here or whatever. But I can come in here now and drag and drop these things a little more easily and see what's going on and see that, yes, I'm definitely overloaded on all these guys. So that's maybe a valid approach, right? Come in here, drag and drop things around, move my production orders around until my load is a little more balanced. But if I've got hundreds of operations, hundreds of production orders, I probably don't want to do that. I don't want to sit here all day dragging and dropping and seeing what's overloading my work centers. Why can't the system just do that for me automatically? Okay, well, it can. Let's see how that works. So if you need to do scheduling, ideally you don't want to spend a bunch of time on it like I showed you, dragging and dropping. What I want to do is go in there and say, hey, tell me what my schedule should be. So I've got this magic button here called Generate Production Schedule. When I hit that, it comes up, and I'm just going to do, I've got some data in the past here. I'm going to say, we're going to do it from 8 a.m. Tell me what my schedule is going to look like for the next 30 days. I've got a bunch of other options, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say generate my schedule, and it's going to go in, and it's going to look at all those production orders we just saw, like all those ones scheduled on a Friday afternoon, and go, hey, that's dumb. What can I do about that? And it's going to go in, and it's going to calculate my, for lack of a better term, optimal production schedule for my environment. And then it brings up the results here, and there's a bunch of stuff you can do. You can see how many are going to be early, how many are going to be late, how long it's going to take to run, all those production orders, everything else. And really what we want to look at it is graphically, again, just like I did before. So I open up the graphical scheduler. Again, this is just the graphical scheduler, but now it's showing me my optimized schedule. If we look at that laser cutter, where everything used to be scheduled on the Friday afternoon, it's automatically moved all of those orders down and chosen the best machine to run those orders on without me having to drag and drop. Now, if I say, well, this is dumb, I don't want to run this here, I'm going to drag and drop it and put it somewhere else. I can do that. I can, drag and drop this guy wherever I like. But I should never have to do that because the system has told me what I need to do to execute those production orders. So this is what we talked about earlier when I said it's a repeatable, systemized process. I hit a button, here's my schedule, and away we go. And by the way, on here, this sort of magenta color, this purple color, that is my setup time, and this is my runtime here. So we can sort of break that out so we can see the difference. And you'll notice some of these don't have setup time. And that could be because we've done setup minimization. The tool has the ability to do that as well. It can group orders together to eliminate the setup time required on similar items. And that could be color changeovers or tooling changeovers or whatever that happens to be. We can then go and eliminate that. And we can also do things like if I come down here to the welding area where I've got aluminum and stainless steel, we've sort of sequenced that schedule based on the material type. So I'm doing aluminum, 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 and down here we're doing the stainless steel. One other thing while we're at welding, you see here at 4 p.m., one of my welders goes home. So instead of being able to schedule 2 production orders at the same time, I now only schedule 1 production order at a time because I've only got labor available for one of these, machine centers that I'm running. So again, full drag and drop, full ability to modify this view and add in whatever else you want. Like if I want to add in my warehouse picks or my loading or any of those sorts of things, or change my colors, I can do all of that just like I could do with all the other views. The difference is this is showing me the results of that automated scheduling process, right? So that automated production scheduler ran this and saved me from having to do that drag and drop. So those are the 2 levels we have. Again, this is the automated version of it. And if I just want to use the built-in Business Central version with the graphical scheduler, this is the manual version where I can come in, see all my orders, drag and drop, and I'm good to go. Okay, all right. So that is really all I wanted to show you initially. Let's jump back into the PowerPoint here. Again, the visual scheduler, the graphical scheduler that we have there, that's completely free for cloud. You can install it right this very second off AppSource, run the setup wizard, and all your production orders are going to show up and you can drag and drop them. Simple as that. If you want to add in views for jobs or assembly orders or any other data, you can go in and customize the heck out of it to your heart's content. If you want something more advanced, like I don't want to drag and drop, I just want the system to tell me the best schedule, that is the MX APS product. And the MX APS product is a subscription, but you know what? Everybody doing production scheduling should get it. It starts at $125 a month, and I guarantee you it'll save you that the first day you use it. Right? There might be some additional implementation time required to get that up and running for you, but it's going to save you a ton of time. Regardless of which one you choose, you can go to AppSource, you can install it from there, run the free version, or try the MX APS and go from there. If you do have any additional questions, go to the website. You can contact us, and we'll do what we can to answer your questions. Or if you need a more in-depth demo on MX APS or the Graphical Scheduler, get a hold of us, and we can set something up for you. When you go to our website, you will see a much more detailed demo and a lot of videos for MX APS and for Graphical Scheduler, and there are questions on the Quality Inspector as well. There's tons of videos on there and on our YouTube channel to go in and review what those tools can do for you. Thanks everybody for attending. Hopefully that was useful for you. Make sure you go out and give the Graphical Scheduler a try today and let us know what you think. Thanks everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.